Hello, legends and super legends. Welcome to Veloharmony. Today the temperature is very mild. It's like 18 C outside, 18 Celsius, and it reaches like 65 Fahrenheit. And during the ride, it's going to get up to 21 Celsius, about 71 thereabouts. So very mild day. I do have a base layer on, and I'm trying my new Rafa protein training jersey. I really like the fit. It's a little loose. It's good. It's good to layer. It's easy to layer with it, and the pockets are really generous, so it's easy to carry even the gimbal in my middle pocket. I've got my extra tube and my phone in my Rafa Shorts radio pocket, so I'm ready to roll. And I'm gonna try to hook up with the Woodlands Cycling Club. I got a text right before I started the prologue from Paul, and he's not riding today, so it's just going to be me filming the boys. Hopefully we'll get some good clips for you. I hope you'll get a chance to get some K's in, and no matter what, keep those doctors fighting.
On this ride, I rolled out of Northampton, headed out to the Paceline YMCA to pick up WCC boys. More than I ride this week, we heard that I think his son had a tennis tournament, and so we headed out. There was a lot of action out to the taco corner. The plan was to go through the forest. You can see Greg and Doug there. We got into Montgomery. After the break at Taco Corner, we headed out to Richards. We decided to head out to Richards because Jerry really wanted to get more kilometers in. It worked out perfectly. You can see Greg did his own thing over there. We headed into Richards. He came later. We never hooked back up with him. We went down 1486 to Dacus, through Mount Moriah Road into Dobbin, and then 1486 back to Jackson Road into Montgomery, and on 1488 back into the Woodlands. It was a very challenging ride. The pace was very high, and I was able to get clips early in the ride. It got so fast and crazy I really could not film the other segments. So hopefully you enjoyed the clips that I was able to get.
It's got like a gimbal on it, don't it?
Yeah, it stabilizes everything and it's flexible.
I was wondering what that was. I was looking finally out.
Yeah, I film it for my channel.
That's cool.
That's Andrew. That's Christine.
Yeah, I don't see Mo, but he might catch up to us. We'll see.
That's Andrew there in the green
today,
and white.
Good size.
We spent a lot of time chatting
Yeah,
early in the ride. Strong rider.
that's Jerry.
That's Christian. As we roll out, we see Jerry.
Hey,
That's Jerry on the left.
We haven't seen Mo yet.
Let him know we haven't seen Bo.
We got enough people though. This is a good size. It's about twice the number as last Saturday. It's good. Twice the number last Saturday. How you doing, Jerry? No, we haven't seen him yet. You got
Jerry's
your
asking
2 bottle
about the boat.
cages back. That means you got that thing sorted? Okay. Oh, okay. The wedge, you changed that, right? Okay, good.
Yeah, Jerry brought his
I
other
think
bike
that
that
was
was
the problem.
having a problem with the saddle last week. This is
Oh,
the
really?
one that has 2 cages.
They put a smaller size. It's the width.
Yeah. He said the bike
Yeah.
had replaced the
Okay.
wedge before.
Did you put some kind of tape on it to mark it? Or anything so you know? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I just mentioned that because when your saddle's
Okay.
slipping, if you're having problems
All right.
like that, tape the seat post so you can know right away. You don't
He's
wanna
had
ride
a
with it.
slipping seat post on that thing.
Andrew and I talking about it.
Yeah,
Andrew
the
wants to know
wedge,
what that's about.
Car back. Car back.
I'm letting everybody know car back because we're picking up 2 lanes and the right lane only goes right. But as we get there, the light changes, so we didn't hold up the driver. We all should have been on the left. That's Andrew on the right there. He's a triathlete.
Yeah, he said that the shop probably put the wrong size wedge because he said they replaced it before. So this is the second replacement by the shop.
That's Kevin up there in the gray jersey. I got to meet him last week. Sunday.
My buddy has
He's a bit under his top fitness, but he's trying to get back into the swing of things. He's not riding as much as he used to, he said.
Never happened before. During the race. Seats all the way down.
Oh, that
His
sucks.
knees are up on his ears.
That sucks.
Yeah, he got completely acid.
Andrew's talking about a friend of his that did an Ironman.
Yeah.
And he had
And he tried
equipment
to ride, he
problem.
couldn't run.
And the seat post fell. He couldn't even continue. When he got off the bike, he couldn't do the run because his knees hurt.
They use the technology of the headset where it's the wedge expands as you screw it down. So if the wedge is not thick enough to start with, it will never hold.
I haven't looked at the anatomy of a Cervelo, but
Giant does the same thing.
Okay.
A lot of these
they
proprietary
use a
seat
wedge
posts, they
that you
use a
screw it and
wedge,
expand.
Yeah.
That's it.
not a clamp.
So you got to start off with the right diameter,
Yeah.
or it just won't.
Right up on that. Well,
So he took it to the shop to put a new one in there.
But Jerry said the shop had replaced it before. I think they just gave him the wrong size.
Yeah.
I think what happens, he did Tri-Bike Transport, the transport company.
Okay.
Must have lowered the seat.
Oh,
He said his friend's bike was affected by the transport company for the
I
race.
see.
When I ran into
And he thinks that's where the problem occurred.
Yeah, fancy stuff, man.
Well, is that a custom?
Yeah, this is made by a guy named Kish
That's pretty
in
cool.
North Carolina. Titanium.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
So we started
I
talking
need a real
about
shallow seat too. This is a 70. I can't ride anything steeper than a 73. Well, I won't be able to get the saddle back far enough, even with a setback.
way back. I'm
Yeah.
a tri-bike rider, so I like to be way up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says
These
on
are
his
so
tri
long,
bike,
I
his road
sit
position
back,
is
yeah.
different. Yeah, the road
Rest of
position is
them are-
different than your tri
my road
position, the aero bike.
So all my bikes are between 70 and 72.
Guy in the corner
Yeah.
over there in front of Andrew, his name is Mike. I got to meet him. I have a lot of mics, just like we have a lot of Paul.
Yeah,
we
well,
have
but
T
the
Mike.
front, but in that position it's different. Yeah. Your hips are rolled. Yeah.
I get totally, when I get on the road bike, it's totally different.
It is different. When I used to compete, the time trial position was complete. I hated the time trial bike. I did the event and put it up.
Yeah, I didn't care for the time trial bike.
Because you're
too much.
rolling forward, so it's
I
completely
like the road position better.
like 80 degrees.
Yeah, it's like 80.
I even would do some time trials on my road bike and just put clip-ons.
Come on, we haven't
The
seen my buddy
Spinachis
Phil.
back in the day. That's Jesus.
Yeah.
I saw Jesus. Jesus lives in the area, so he just rode up. It's a lot easier to film. Found out early in the ride, when even when the pace is picking up. But I'm glad that I started filming
We used to compete.
in the parking lot, because when it got really hard and people were spread all over the highway and we were chasing and bridging up, it was hard to deal with the camera at that time. So I filmed the early part, and you get to see enough and get an idea of what we went through.
The positions are
And
different. Yeah.
maybe next time I will film the middle part and so forth. But it was good today. Once I put the camera up, we hit the roads outside of Richards, and it was just, the hills were thick and fast, and it was heavy. Just a lot of heavy action. So it was very intense ride. So Sunday I dumped it down a little bit and just spun and dropped the intensity. You don't want to do too much intensity because you can burn yourself out. The lady on the right, if you watch her legs, she just had her gait on the bike. Her legs look like it just has it does have an unusual line. I've seen her on this ride before last summer, and that's just the way she is. On the right there, on the right side of Kevin. If you watch her, yeah, she looks kind of ungainly on the bike, but she can hold her own. That's just the way she is. And Andrew was talking about it. I told him, I said, I've seen her out here before. I said, that's just the way her legs move. If you look at Andrew, it's pretty regular looking, but her pedaling action looks like it's all over the place. But that's the way her body is. And she's fitted well because I don't see any rocking, even though her legs move like they do. Those are the kind of fits that are challenging for fitters, because you have to appreciate the fact that the human body is not symmetrical and accommodate the rider's natural gait. You will see more of her when the pace quickens. Because even though it was hard for me to film most of the ride, I didn't want to anyway. I mean, we rode for almost 6 hours. It's just too much stuff to film. But you'll get to see her under pressure in front of me at some point in the ride. It's hard not to notice that, but I watched her, and as a fitter, it's impressive. Whoever fitted her knows what they're doing, because she's made it very well to that saddle, even with all that extracurricular movement, I call it. So you can't focus on the movement. You still have to use the same principles and set it to where it's comfortable for the rider. So even though her knee moves like that, chances are she has a lot of float in those pedals to accommodate that movement. We go through the light here. It was yellow when we started, so we go through as a train.
So when it was time to spend my own money, I decided.
And you see that she's using the shoulder there, even though it's not a legit bike lane, so that we only use a piece of the lane. So if a car needs to pass us, we're not taking up the entire lane. It's just a courtesy. We could use the whole lane legally, but we do this as a courtesy because we're sharing the road with the other road users. It makes it easier for them to see around us to pass. And drivers that are in the know appreciate that. It's the small percentage that don't keep up with the rules of the road that want to have an attitude when you're using a lane like you're not supposed to. So the bridge does not have a shoulder, so she moves over. This road is called Branch Crossing. It's a slight grade as we approach here. I begin to notice early on that these boys are kicking it up. We're doing 36 kilometers an hour. This is about a 1% grade. You can see it visually. I ride this road during the week. I mentioned to Andrew, I said, I never ride this section this fast.
I don't know what it is. I guess it's the draft.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling Andrew right there. I said, I never ride this at this speed when I come through here during the week. Because I don't pay attention to the speed. I can tell we're really moving. I'm like, okay, so I know this is going to be an interesting ride. I had already ingested a gel before I left the house because I rode the ride. And I already took electrolytes, and then I got one bottle with electrolytes on the bike. As the weather gets warmer, I will be carrying 2 bottles. The joy of riding with a group such as this is that you cover more ground, and right now I'm using less effort to cover that ground. I am in zone 1. Sitting in the draft in moderate terrain, covering the ground at higher speed than I would by myself. This is Tim, Kevin in front of me here. Tim came to mind. I met Tim. Tim is a rider that last week had fallen off the pace where he greeted Paul. He and I rode together on Sunday. I put the camera down here just to give a different view. I put it down near the road.
I have a YouTube channel called Veloharmony. It's an educational channel.
So this guy Mike was asking when he saw the gimbals. I'm filling him in. A lot of riders on this ride, when you go to a group ride, be very leery about who you follow because a lot of riders here turned around. I mean, you guys saw on the preview, only the Shot brothers showed up because they're on Strava and follow each other, and so that's why Relief considers them your friends. But a lot of these guys hammered the first section of this ride and just turned around before we even got to Montgomery. I mean, they rode maybe 15 miles and turned around. Now, some of them ride from their homes. But you need to keep that in mind. The point I'm making is that don't just follow anybody in a group ride and hammer yourself because they may not be going as far as you are. I plan to do at least 6 hours. So I knew, and you will see me back off. There was a rider we're going to pick up later on the road. He's waiting with his partner, Benny. They're on the road. They were late, so they parked in front of where they knew the group would come. And they're out there on the highway. His name is John. And he's like a category 2 racer, and so he makes a move which I will highlight, which is very sweet. I wish the camera had done it justice from what we experienced when we're out there. But anyhow, he made a very strong attack to bridge up to Katie and them that had taking off down the road. And those are the kind of moves you don't follow if you know it does not work with your plan. That's the thing I'm trying to stress. So don't just go around killing yourself in a group ride because somebody makes an attack. Make sure that it fits in with the kind of training you want to do and that you can handle it, that it won't cause you to have to shorten your ride because you expended too much energy. That's what's important. If you can go with them and it won't affect you, that's fine. Affect your goals, that's fine. So we turn on to research here.
Usually they go out to.
And I'm chatting with Andrew still.
And to the cross 105. And then they might go to Bay. It wasn't very specific, just understand. But basically, they usually do a really.
This is all part of the warm-up. We're just kind of rolling, trying to get out of town. This is a slight downhill here, even though it says 38 kilometers an hour. It's not super easy, but these guys roll, you know. You see my cadence is high on purpose. It's still early, you gotta keep your legs supple. That's Greg shot on the right in front of this lady here. I didn't get her name, get to meet her. The lady on the right I was talking about earlier. And the guy in front of Greg, his name is Mike. I never got to meet him, but I asked about him because he was the one that gave out the route, which is supposed to be a long ride. But then he turned around after about probably 15 miles. But he was one of the ones hammering the pace, you know, so that's what I was talking about earlier. So he had his own plan, which was not consistent with those of us who wanted to go further. Katie, Fabian, he calls her Fabian, and Jerry, they hammer and they still go far. So that's what they do every weekend. And then some riders come and try to hang with them and have to shorten their rides, whether, you know, on purpose or they realize that, oops, I've done too much. Because those guys go for Strava segments that have been defined in the area. I don't have those on my head unit. You have to be like a Summit member on Strava to download their segments. They have them on the head unit. I don't use Strava for anything other than loading the rides for my followers, because I really got into Strava, as I've mentioned before, because of the Rafa Festive 500. Because that's how they confirm what you've done. So other than that, I use Strava for nothing. I have my data locally on my software, and that's where I do my analysis when necessary. We turn on Old Egypt Road here. The first thing you'll realize riding with this group is they do everything faster. They do everything smoother than the Team RR boys that we ride with from time to time. I rode with Team RR the day after this ride. It was a small turnout, but it was a nice cruise. So everybody's here has a different purpose. Everybody's here for a workout. You will see that people follow closer. Even though we're warming up, you can see the lady I was talking about on the right. She's within a foot of the wheel in front of her. And this lady on the left, I never got to meet her either. She's close as well. So a lot of them kind of turned away, or at Taco Corner, they went to do their own thing because the hammerheads in the group were going further out. And a lot of people cannot go 80 miles at race pace like these guys do. So you want to get better, you got to decide what you're ready for at the right time so you don't get burned out. So Andrew and I chatting about the Sunday ride that leaves right here on the left where we are now. They leave here from here on Sunday on this road.
Yeah, this is a hardcore. So that's why a lot of people don't show up. On Sunday we had 30-something people. I was blown away.
So the way the rides are advertised, this ride, what we mentioned about hardcore, this ride says, and I mentioned it in the live live session, this is Fabian. I mentioned our live session, and this ride is listed as a ride for road racing competition. So I think it scares away a lot of riders. And then the one on Sunday is listed for social riding, but it's really not social. They hammer. There's Fabian on the right, Jerry in the middle, that's Jesus on the left there. This is Christian in the blue jersey right here. I go ahead and speed it up a bit. This light took a little bit of time for the cycle to go through.
That is, yeah, it's a lot of movement.
We go through the light here, and this is Old Egypt Road. We cut through these neighborhoods to get to the open road. The plan is to go down one of my favorite roads in the area, Honia Egypt Road. It's not the smoothest road out here, but there's something about the character of that road. It is more challenging going north than south, but south is no slouch. So we're headed north, and that was the plan. That's what was announced by the guy I was pointing out that ends up turning around early since Moore wasn't there. They just decided they were going to take Honia Egypt Road to get out to Montgomery. Because once we get to Montgomery, then they make decisions on what to do, and the decision was made at the store at Taco Corner to go to Richards. Whenever you go to Richards from where I live, you guarantee that's 100 miles on the loop. Doesn't matter how you come back. And of course, Jerry likes to come back the most difficult way possible. And he says it's fun. I told him, I said, your idea of fun is it's skewed. I still don't have my glasses on. I have it on the back of my head because it's overcast, and a lot of times I just kind of leave it till the sun comes out. Yeah, Greg is saying that he wanted to read what's on Christian's jersey.
You have a story on your pocket.
That label, it's a story from, I think that's a Santini jersey. Yeah. So he thought I meant something was wrong with his pocket. I said no. Then I walk up and tell him.
You have a label. He wants to read. I said no. Maybe when we stop.
I told him, don't try to read that. The fine print is so small. Yeah, you can see it's a label. They got a good story. That's kind of cool. I like those when they put them on there. Those of you who have seen my reviews, that's the stuff Rob will put inside the pocket. His is on top of the pocket on the label. Might be a commemorative jersey. They do that a lot. So Andrew on the right there does a lot of triathlon. He said that he prefers steady, hard pace. He did not like the road racing, attacking, surging. It was not good for his engine. He just had to train that way, but he can hold a hard, fast, steady pace. So he hung in, he rode great. I'm starting to ride with these guys now because it's spring and it's time to work on speed. So we're about to exit the neighborhood here. That's a great shot on my right. And you guys know Christian in front of me. I like to follow Christian or a guy like Andrew. Even Greg's okay. And then the guy on the left, that's Jared. That's Katie's husband with the Rafa stripes on that gray jersey. I follow bigger riders a lot easier. I get a better draft than following a little rider. I can follow smaller riders. I just tighten it up more. So we turn here on, this is a piece of Honia, Egypt, but everybody considers it Fish Creek. At the light, we're going to be turning left, so we start to look back immediately. I'm looking back, you'll see me move over. It's clear. They'll kind of let them know we can move over, so we're going to be turning. Right up there at the light, there are a couple of riders I was talking about earlier, John and Benny. They came late, so they parked further up the highway, and they're right there. I'll put an arrow there. They're across the street, right there. They're coming up towards us, and the guys know them, so they greet them. I've never met them. That's John turning there, and then Vinny is back here wearing the same kit. Cantu. That's Vinny there. She's tough. She hung in there. Things got pretty hard out in the hills, but she hung in there. She held her own. So she's right next to me. I introduce myself to her and I ask her for her name. I had to ask her for her name several times for it to register because Venny is an unusual name. We're talking, I'm introducing myself to her. it's clear she's been cycling for a while, you know.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we waited for Mo until about 7:33 or so. Started to roll out, yeah.
Yeah, she was asking for Mo, and I told her Mo wasn't here. Mo's a fixture, so when he's not here, it's unusual. So right here, you see the pace begins to pick up. You would see everybody tighten up into a single pace line in a short while. And most of the ride, these are the speeds this group holds. 36 to 38 kilometers an hour is pretty much what you see. Up to maybe 1.5–2% grades, they hold that. I mean, we're going to Richards and we're still doing the same speeds. So yeah, I told Vinny to go ahead and get in front of me. I wanted to get as many people in the picture as possible because I wasn't going to be doing a lot of spinning around with this camera today. Not with this group. I got to steady myself and focus on the effort. This is a grade we're on. You see 2%, 33 it says. We rode the Richards between 1 to 4% and we're doing these similar speeds. So after a while going to Richards, we broke up into two groups. I stayed in the second group because I wanted to make sure that I conserved my energy. Maybe after a few weeks, I will stay with the top group. A few weeks of doing this pace. But even though we stayed in the second group, we basically kept the first group in sight and we were seconds behind them, maybe 15 seconds or so behind them. So we didn't back off much, we just kept a more tolerable and steadier pace in the hills, whereas these guys were attacking every climb. It was later that I found out from Jerry that John was a Category 2 racer because I've never met John. So I mean, you can see the ride just started. Let's see, 25 minutes into it, yeah. So everybody's kind of warmed up, and look at the speeds they're holding. But because of the draft, I'm at the top of zone 1, getting into zone 2. I'm staying to the left. I'm not drafting perfectly. So don't do this when you're drafting. You need to be closer. You need to be as close as Vinny is to Jared's wheel. So I'm intentionally sitting back here to get a good shot while I can. Because if I just sit behind Vinny, you won't see up the line. And you do this also, you do what I'm doing to slow down. This is a downhill. You can see my cadence up to 140 RPMs. I was spinning just for the exercise. It's fun. So that's the reason the Saturday ride is, I was surprised we had this many riders. That's what we talked about earlier. A lot of people that come out here are preparing for events, you know, road racing events. And then they have a Tuesday night ride, which is like maybe 1 hour. They call it the Hammer Fest. Mo wants to change the name. But it's great riding with these guys because even at these speeds, they're smooth, they're steady. It's just, you don't get a lot of people that are uncomfortable in the pace line. So you need to build up to this kind of riding if you're new. That might be Mike pulling off the front. The guy I was talking about in the bike lane jersey. He's one of the ones that turned around earlier. I'll get a better view as we get close. I think it's him. No, actually that's Kevin. Kevin was at the front. Kevin and I rode together last Sunday. I rode with WCC boys. I noticed that Kevin takes very strong pulls, and that's his way of getting his workout in. That's just his style. I stand to the left here for two reasons. Get a good shot, and the road's chewed up on the right quite a bit. Saves my wheels. It might be Katie pulling off the front. So that's the thing with this group. Kevin takes a pull, and if that's Katie, a lot of the fast riders are behind each other. So the pace just stays high. Oh, that's John. Okay, that's John I was talking about, a Cat 2 rider. That's John that pulled off. Okay. I didn't know at the time that he was a Cat 2 rider. It did not matter. You can tell by his style, his form. You can tell an experienced rider. After we got to Montgomery, we went through 105 off camera. John was pulling so hard up the climb. I looked at the speedometer on my bike at the bottom, and it said 35 kilometers an hour. That's like 22, 23 miles an hour. And we're going up a 3 to 4% grade that goes on for like a mile and a half. So I waved Christian up and told him, you get behind him. I'm gonna cool down for the store. We're close to Taco Corner. At the time I didn't know who John was, but I was like, he's going too fast for the distance I want to do on these climbs out here. And on the way home with Jerry, and Jerry mentioned it because I brought it up. That's Kevin behind me. Kevin keeps a very high cadence when he's working. And this is Venny. She and John, I believe, are husband and wife. They got their kit for their business that they have. They have a cycling business. So what I was saying earlier is most of this group turns around, maybe a little more than half. So you've got to really make sure you keep up with those who are going to have a similar objective for the day. That's Katie, who's pulling off the front. Katie is another one of the hammerheads on this group. So she just took her pull and she's pulling back. The road's going up, pace is changing, people are working hard. That's Mike. Mike tapped out. Mike was in third position, he tapped out. After Katie pulled off the front, Mike tapped out and drifted to the back. He didn't want to get to the front. If you look at this lady Vinny in front of me, you see how solid and smooth she is on her bike. That's the sign of a good fit. It comes with experience. If you ride a lot, you're not going to put up with discomfort. You just have to dial yourself in if you want to do this for an extended period of time. So this is Doug shot pulling off the front. He just pulled and pulled off the front. I did not follow Doug. Doug made a lot of moves when we got into the Raymond Chapel area. I didn't follow Doug because it turns out Doug turned back earlier. This is a lady I was talking about. She just took a pull. And you see her legs. I mean, they look scary at first, but then you realize that's the way God made her. And that's the way it is. You just gotta, and she's fitted to that bicycle. Her knees track like that, but she's working it, and she's. If this were the first time, I would reach the same conclusion as a fitter. I looked at all the major contact points, and she's fine. All that extra movement from her knee, that's just to track her knees make. I made a video about the human knee and how it does not track straight in the up and down position. Even the people that look like it's tracking straight, it's not straight. It's a wavy movement. The knee does not track in a straight line. Hers just track in a wavier motion that is unusual. And so when you're fitting people, you have to make sure they are not constrained by the way you set their cleats. You see the speeds are just staying there. So if you're not used to this effort, it's very taxing. It's gotten harder. I'm in the draft, which I'm behind a small rider. Vinny's small, so I'm not getting a great draft, but I'm still zone 2 to almost tempo. And I know when I'm in the draft and I'm in those zones, it's hard. Because of all the work I've done the last few years, my fitness is such where if I'm in zone 2 to zone 3 in the draft, we're going hard. I mean, we're going so fast and the undulations in the terrain. That's why you don't see me taking a lot of rear shots. Right now, I'm just focused on riding. So the next time we ride with them, I will get shots from the other hills further out, not just Pony Egypt here, because we're spread out all over the highway like homeless people. All little groups of cyclists just broken apart. But no one quit, so we regrouped without even having them stop. You know, we had some incidents where Jerry had something that had fallen off his bike. So that was one regroupment there. But for the most part, we just kept coming. That's Andrew at the front, I believe, he's in second position. He drifted to the left. He might be in second position. He told me several times he does not like the changes in speed. It's a different kind of engine that you build to handle those changes. And a lot of triathletes do steady kind of riding in large ratios, whereas road racers can handle the change in cadences and tempo. You guys notice that Benny's outfit, no matter how much wind blows, it's not going to move an inch. That's how your kit should fit you. Does not matter whether you race or not. Why would you want to catch more wind? So invest the time. It's not how much you pay for it. It's the fit, the sizing. Invest the time in finding kit that fits your body properly. Because all the fancy wheels will not negate the 80+% that your body drags the wind on you when you're riding. That's most of the drag. And drag creates work. I think that is Mike who's pulling off the front. Yes, with the bike lane jersey. He was the one that announced what suggested that we're gonna do till we get the taco corner. He was one of the ones that turned around early. He didn't even get the taco corner. They turned around at 28:54. The road goes up here. The speed won't go down much, I think. And I think when we get near Leah Drive, there will be an attack. That's what Katie and Jerry and them start to launch attacks. I just hold it steady. Jared ends up turning back. I think before we got to Taco Corner, I think he must have turned back at 28:54 with the other guys. So quite a few riders turned back. See, I'd much rather sit in and go further than hammer and turn back. I want to do more work. It builds a stronger engine. This is 37 kilometers an hour on a 1% grade. It's between 1 to 3 where those cars are. It's going to go up above 3%. And that's where there's going to be an attack that will split the group. And you'll see, this is where John, that I was talking about, Benny's husband, that he makes a move that is just impressive.
You don't get to really experience it because he attacks, and each gear he's in, as he accelerates, he continues to shift. And each successive gear, he continues to accelerate. Right here, we hit Leah Drive, Jerry goes. Katie's right on his wheel. Fabian's there. I see them, I just hold my position. My engine's not ready for that. So Christian goes. Andrew tries. I don't know if Andrew makes it or not. Those are the moves he said he can't handle. So right here, the group breaks out, and Greg waves Jared around. I don't know what for. Jared's not gonna catch those guys. Jared's not firing, so I go around Jared. I don't know if I turn the camera on. Right here, we're going hard. I'm in the middle of zone 4 for me. We're going hard, and I just hold it there. And this is where John goes. And each time he's accelerating, I hear the gear shifts. He's shifting and accelerating, and he bridges up to them. Very impressive to see. He does not play. He did not get in no man's land. He bridged up to them. That's when I realized, I said, this guy's got to be up in the categories. That's Vinny. Vinny waving at the camera. She saw me turning around. Vinny waved at the camera. But that was very impressive. Each time he accelerated in the gear, he would shift up. Clunk. Then he'd accelerate and shift up. Clunk. I mean, that's all you heard. Clunk, clunk. This is where I pull off the front. Vinny goes through. So they're right there. So unless you want to do that effort, there's no reason for you to kill yourself and then have to turn around. Whatever they were doing, they're done. I think this is Jerry here. He must have been going for a that might be a segment or something. That's what they do. So you gotta know what these guys are doing and not to kill yourself. Yeah, I set a car back so they would know, so nobody would try to use that other lane. So Jerry was the one who started it. He's turned off the power. There's a red light there. So that's the ebb and flow. Even in a race, stuff happens for different reasons. You gotta know why people are attacking so you don't kill yourself. You saw Benny stayed under control. She stayed on my wheel, kept her effort. She was even able to give thumbs up and smile at the camera. Kevin's stretching his back here. So we get her whipped. That's John standing on the corner. That was impressive to watch. It was nice bridge up. That's how you bridge up. You can't hesitate. Get up there. So we'll do more of these as the season progresses. Those are the kind of efforts we're gonna put in our repertoire to show you guys. So Christian goes to push the pedestrian walk signal because there's no car behind us, to make sure this light changes for us. Yeah, someone had said he wasn't supposed to press that because it would affect the way the light would change, and it ended up working out. I think he probably was mistaken. But if you push the wrong signal, yeah, sometimes you can affect the cycle of the light. So John goes through the light, and the guy behind him, his name is Mike. That's Christian on the left, that's Andrew on the right. I didn't get this lady's name. So basically at this point now, all the effort we spent on Honia Egypt, that's almost like a warm-up per se, because now we're gonna hit the harder hills out here. Because we've got Raven Chapel and we got Mill Route, and they come thick and fast. So you use that opportunity to light, drink, whatever you gotta do, you know, and get ready. This is the shot I was talking about. This is where you really get to see how her knees track. The human body is amazing. So it's just a little extra movement that her knees like to do, that's all. Andrew chatting with her. Next time I would try to get her name. I didn't get the opportunity on this ride. So that's John on the right and Mike on the left, and Christian's up the road. He's not that far ahead. Andrew brought 3 bottles. He's got a bottle in his jersey, 2 on the bike. I've been working hard here. I don't look happy there. Yeah, it's tough doing the shots in the Paceline because you want to stay a little bit in the wind to get the shot. Otherwise, it's just boring. All you get is the rider in front of me when you draft him perfectly. So after we get through this section, I went ahead and put the camera up so I could really get into the wheels. I had to do that because it was a long day. We had like 5 hours left. And here it is. We're going again. I stay slightly to the left. And I'm not completely out of the draft because the wind is not perfectly from the front. The wind's always out there. But once the speeds pick up, you want to take advantage of the draft. You can see I'm close to Andrew. You get to really see this lady's legs and how it tracks. I like people that have unusual fit needs because that challenges your skills as a fitter. The tracking is just amazing to watch. It's almost like she's not putting down any power, but she has to be in there. Other people that are hard to fit are people that have bow legs. You got to really deal with their tracking because they sit differently and their legs are bowed out. So you can't just traditionally set their cleats. That must be Fabian up there. Yeah, he's on the left. He must have been up ahead of Christian. Fabian's been riding strong lately. So we're gonna have to catch up to him. I think John's pulling now. So if you've never done any kind of training where you're tapping into your higher zones and you come and ride with a group like this, it's very hard on you. So you notice John didn't stay there all day. He took a strong pull. He pulls off. That's how road racers ride. You can keep the speed higher, longer. When the speed is fast, you take a pull, you pull off so you can come back and do more work. Sit in the draft for a while, catch your breath, recover, go back and do it again. And you have to judge what you're able to do based on your current level of fitness. It might be 10, 15 seconds. The next person might be able to do it for a minute or less, 45 seconds. You got to find what works for you that will allow you to continue with the group and not blow. I was watching one of the European races this week. I believe it was Wevelgem. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe Peter Sagan was in the race, and he just surprisingly, uncharacteristically, he blew. He had just worked so hard because he's won Wevelgem before, and even the commentators were surprised. But that's the body's unusual. It's clear. Mike goes through. I go ahead, I think I roll through here, and I think I pull for a little bit. And then Kevin comes to the front, because Kevin asked, he said, your name's Eldred, right? Because we rode together the week before. Kevin goes through, I go ahead and sit on his wheel. You're always gonna get moments in a fast ride where nobody really wants to take the lead. If you're there, you can take a few pedal strokes and then pull off the front. Let someone else come through. You don't have to sit there.
intention of taking any kind of significant amount of pulls because I plan to do a long day, and you know, it's not my idea to do these speeds. I mean, we're doing 33 kilometers up this climb. Not sure why it hasn't registered yet. This climb goes up to at least 3%. It says gets to like 3%. And you can tell that Kevin is working. I mean, he's all over his bike and he's really driving the pedals. And I just sit there and keep my cadence reasonable. That's why it's good to do the group from time to time, because when I come on this road solo, I don't push myself this hard. I feel the gear and I work, but not this hard. So I'm sitting behind him right at the sweet spot. The second hill is shorter on here. Just as steep, but doesn't go as far. It lets up, gets there quickly, and it lets up. So all I do is I do a lot of shifting to make sure I keep my cadence in the same range. We're going slightly downhill now. And we're gonna turn at that corner. The camera's in my left hand. I use my right hand for shifting, of course, and then I let everybody know we're turning. So you don't want only the first person to give the signal. You gotta pass it down. I downshift in the corner here. He's gonna pull over to the side, and I think I go through. He doesn't have to do anything other than the fact that he pulls off tells me he's done. He's done some work. If you're there, you just pull through. I pull through, I keep riding. The effort's really dropping here. I don't really make myself go any harder. I figure someone's gonna come around, because these hammerheads in this group, they're not that patient. So I don't know how long it is, but I went ahead and just let the footage continue so you guys can see. I'm driving through the gears. See, my cadence is up, the speed's up. I'm probably in a 53.17, 52.17. I have a 52 on this bike, and I'm just spinning it. And then shortly somebody will come by because they want to go faster. Yep, there he goes. That's Mike. That's the guy who made the announcement for the ride. And then Fabian's on the left and Katie's on the right. So I just kind of roll up behind Katie. I have no intention of staying with them because I want more people to come around. Because they attack every climb, you know. Fabian's been going after a lot of the Strava segments out here. So they start to pull away. I let it happen. I just keep riding my pace. And there's John again, bridging up to them. He took about 4 or 5 pedal strokes. He bridged up to them. I just continue doing what I'm doing. Now Jesus come around. That's Doug's shot. Kevin comes around, and then I think I slipped behind this lady. You notice we had a big group. You can't see them right now. It's hard, and so there's just fragments of riders all over the road. I didn't have the time to flip the camera behind and see what these guys are doing. It didn't matter. The action is up here, but riders are back there because it's hard. So Christian is behind me, Christian and Andrew. We go around the corner. This lady takes this corner really slow. I wanted to kind of film it on purpose. Look at the gap. Now she's got to work really hard. Don't do that. Work on your cornering to where you can corner with the rider in front of you. She's working and they're not. They're already there. So that really wears you out. Plus we got hills coming. If you notice, I didn't go with her. I'm keeping my time, waiting for Christian and Andrew. I know they're there. I think I turned the camera around a little bit. I think I turned it around here. Yeah, there we go. That's Jared. There's Christian there. And it looks like that's Jerry. And then Vinny. That's Christian. And that's Andrew. Now, what you're going to see here is Christian starts to bridge up to those guys. They got gapped on that downhill. And so Andrew takes over and he puts it in like a 15 or 14. He's in a big gear. I mean, compared to what I would ride in this situation. But everybody's different. That's what he likes. So he's using a lot of leg strength. And he's closing the gap. You know, I could have gone with that lady, but it's like at that time I was like, you know what? Let me get something different. It makes it more interesting. So she's still here. She's trying. She never made it to that front group after that curve. So you see, the fact that she drifted back in that curve just to take the corner caused her to get gapped, and she could not get back to those guys. So those are the spots where you save energy. So the stuff I did here, I actually wasted energy just to get this shot. Because I'm actually working harder here than I would have worked if I had stayed with those guys up there. We had to work harder to bridge up to them. But all of that is what gets you fit. You know, but I wanted to just kind of film it in this manner to show what happens in ride. This ride was like a race. This is what happens in races. There's an ebb and flow. Sometimes you feel great, sometimes you don't feel so good, but you still hang in, and then before you know it, you start feeling better. So Andrew pulled us all the way back here. He pulled off. I'm not sure why he did that, but I guess he later on I found out he said he doesn't like the changes in speed, so he pulled off to do his own thing. So both he and I pulled off. We're almost at the end of this section, and I don't know if I ride up to Veni or not, because the 2854 is coming up. Yeah, they're sprinting for the corners. Yeah, at this point, you see even Jerry turned off the speed. So you have to pick your spots so you don't waste energy. I have no intention of wasting any energy. I figure we're going to be going up into the forest. At that time, I thought we were going to do the forest. But we went through the forest to Ridge. We went even further out. The guys in front of Jerry and them, they're sprinting for the highway. I don't remember if I rode up to Veni and them or not. I don't know. I don't remember. But I just kept my pace. I kept it right at sweet spot. I don't want to work any harder than that. But it's a good exercise here. I just wanted to show you all what you should do when you're with a group that's kind of, you know, changing the speed. A lot of times, just make sure it's consistent with your intended purpose of that ride. If you came out to hammer yourself, then fine, you go with everything. But if you came out to go long as well, you got to be a little more conservative. I keep them in sight. I know the highway is right there, and I just keep riding. They appear to be further than they are because of the angle of the camera. So Andrew took a break from all the ebb and flow, and he came back, started riding. I got on his wheel. The corner right there where that curve is, that's the highway. Whenever we come through here at this point, unless we're gonna just continue, I don't really waste too much energy down here. They're stopped right there. You can see they're not even stopped yet. That's Christian, the blue right there, the stop sign. So right here, we stop to wait for the people who are off the pace. There's quite a few people back there. And now the guy in green is gonna go back. A lot of these guys are gonna go back. I didn't know that at the time. All those guys on the left, they are gonna go back. They're gonna take the highway and just go back. We just started the ride. That's why you gotta be cautious. That's that lady coming in that I was mentioning with the unusual pedal gate. So right here, I turned the camera off. This is where we're at Taco Corner discussing
but where Bethel comes
what
in,
we're gonna do with the rest
go
of the
about
ride.
2 miles past there, and there's a right-hand turn next to a big stone gate called Welch. Hot dog stand. There's not a hot dog stand.
Somebody's hungry.
Snow cone.
Hot dogs on all rides, man. Can't get it.
Yeah, Kevin, Greg was giving a little detour that he wanted us to do, and Kevin said it must be a hot dog stand there. So like, Greg's like, there's no hot dog stand there. So I thought Fabian to watch for this truck. So we let him go. Fabian.
It's beautiful, man. I like the touches of gold.
Yeah, Fabian has it called Nago, a new frame he got, and it has like gold accents on it. I'm gonna try to get a picture of it
I do like the Pinarello though.
with the camera. He has a Pinarello also, the F10. There's the bike. It's really nice. I'll get a close up next time we ride with them. Hopefully at the stop, I will ask him to film it for the channel. But Kevin was making a joke that there must be a hot dog stand why Greg wants to go that route instead of staying on 149. So I got a little bit of this piece. This is where we're headed further northwest. We're gonna go into the town of Richards. I don't film all the way to Richards. I just wanted to get a snippet of, we were like maybe 5 to 7 minutes at that stop, and now we're heading out. The group has split literally probably less than half now. But still, it was such a good sized group to start with. And all the hardcore riders are left heading north. A lot of riders turned back before we even got to the store. There were a lot of riders you saw at the stop, but they were not necessarily with us. They were just riders that had stopped there as well from another group. We didn't bring the entire group to Taco Corner. They didn't even come that far. They turned around at that other stop when we stopped at the intersection of that highway. So we take 1097 west here to 149, and we're gonna turn right. And I discussed this with Jerry at the end of the ride. Jerry and I rode further to get additional kilometers. He was a little short of what his goal was for the day. And we discussed the fact that 149 on this stretch between here and the forest, I said, it just seemed hard. It doesn't look hard, but it feels hard. He said, yeah, it is hard. So this is the section that I got some clips on. This is where we kind of end things, just to kind of give you guys a little bonus here. But the entire ride was fast. It was hard. You had to be on top of your game. And everybody in this group is out here to do one thing: ride. That's it. I mean, the focus is just amazing among everybody. You're not gonna see riders say, oh, you know, it's a little bit of rain. We got rain on a little bit, but just light drizzle. You know, we turn right here on 149, and as soon as we turn, this road goes up, and they just start to put pressure. You can see, just look at the gap open in front of Andrew. Pressure's on. There's no let up. We're outside of Montgomery, downtown Montgomery, and this is part of whether the RDBC does not go on this particular road, but it's the area. Everything out here is up and down, and I really love that I live out here because it sure beats the west side of Houston where it's just flat. And just the fact that the traffic volume is less out here. So we ride close to the white line a little over, even though there's not much of a shoulder. We're gonna use the road a little bit because it's too small to ride on that edge. But it makes it easy. See that car? It makes it easy for them to pass us because they can see around better than if we tried to take the whole lane. It's not necessary. A lot of the drivers are pretty good about it out here. So we don't have too many hassles. I know, it happens, but it's not frequent. It's not often. It's not the majority. It's always the 1 percentile occurrences that you remember. They're out there, but it's not something that is a norm. So we deal with those and just kind of try to let the situation stay calm if it does occur. But it's not something that we run into very often. So it's really nice riding on it. I don't know who's at the front. It might be Kevin or somebody, but they're just driving it on and we're just rolling. I decided to get these extra clips. Right here, I moved over on the shoulder. Fabian stays there. He wants to wait. He doesn't want to go over those little, what I call bubbles. There are little ridges they put down. They're not too bad, but he stays there until there's a break in it. There's not much traffic out there. He's pretty familiar with the area. Fabian is sporting the Le Cole brand today, from head to toe. Le Cole, well, not the helmet, the entire kit. This way he lets Andrew know that he's gonna come in. And this is Psycho had asked about this. Psycho Warrior had asked, should you point to where? That's the situation where you point, because he's about to do something unusual. But the other ride where I was showing the double Paceline, everybody was doing the same thing and coming over. It was expected. So he pointed to let this guy know I'm gonna come over. That's when you point. I hope Psycho gets it. He watches this, so he'll get it. So we're going up climb into the wind. It may say -0, that GPS is behind. This thing's going up. It's about maybe 1%. But look at the speeds we're holding. So we covered, I did almost, I did 100 kilometers in 5 hours, 40 something minutes, which is faster than we did the Gran Fondo in. I got home earlier, even my daughter's doing it. I got home like an hour ahead of time. So we made good time. Even though I slowed down a bit to ride with Jerry when we got back into town, because we wanted to get some extra kilometers, we weren't going as fast. But even with that, I still was ahead of schedule. So it's really good to hook up with the right group, sit in and get your kilometers in. But I noticed that most of the ride, it was between 22, 23 and a half, 24, like that. This other driver was gonna try to turn. It was amazing to even see that. There's a line of riders. How do you even attempt to come and turn? I don't understand. And right there it caused us to back off. You can see the gap. So I have to ride and close this gap. And when that happens, don't be in a hurry. I don't need to expend too much energy. I just keep this pace hard. Get in a gear that I know I can hold, and I ride up and close the gap. Listen to the wind. Pressure's on at the front. I see Katie and looks like Christian got a gap. This is just to give you an example and a sample of what continued from here all the way to Richards. Right after we got through this downhill, we turned, the road started to go up. I put the camera up because it was on. Because this section from here to the forest, we were all over the highway in little groups. The attacks were thick and fast. I hope you guys enjoyed the clips, and I hope you got a chance to get some K's in. Keep those doctors fired.